What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rovardo, and today I'm live streaming again. It's been a while since I've done one of these live streams here on the channel, but we've got some momentous occasions on the horizon. That's right. The Giants kick off their preseason tomorrow. Now, I saw somebody ask it in the chat, so I'll go ahead and clarify now. Yes, tomorrow during the preseason game, I will be live here on the channel. I believe Alex is joining me as well for the preseason game tomorrow. We're going to be live watching the game, reacting to it, and giving our commentary and analysis on a play-by-play basis. So 1 o'clock tomorrow here on the channel. You don't want to miss it. Make sure that you are indeed here. But man, it's been a while since I've live streamed. I almost don't even know what to do. But that's why I put mailbag in the title, meaning ask me your questions, guys. It's been a while since I've jumped in here and gotten to respond to any of your questions and interact with you and engage one-on-one. So now's the time. It's been a little while. So any questions that you've had over the last several months, or over the last several days, hours, whatever pops into your mind regarding the New York Giants or life or chicken cutlets or whatever, drop them down below in the chat. I'm happy to go ahead and have a conversation with you all. But we are going to preview this preseason game tomorrow, talk about some of the top storylines that I'm paying attention to entering this game, some of the news updates that we have regarding injuries, who's playing, who's not playing, and all of that, etc. So it's going to be a good live stream. Probably going to go for about an hour here. Don't want to overdo it because tomorrow I'll be live for the entirety of that game, and that'll be probably 3 to 4, maybe even 5 hours, depending. So make sure you are here for tomorrow's live stream. That one's going to be a big one for sure. And I'll also be live tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Giants Collective. If you guys haven't subscribed to Giants Collective yet, make sure you go ahead and do that. I go live on there every Wednesday and Friday night at 7 o'clock with Bad Dog, the Entertainer, and NYG Fangirl. So we have a really good time, me, Chris, Kevin, and Adriana. But let's go ahead and waste no more time. Let's dive into this thing and talk about our New York Giants. Now, I'm looking forward to this preseason game tomorrow for a couple of reasons. The rookies and the offensive line. I want to see what the offensive line looks like, considering there's been a lot of chatter about how this depth on the offensive line has been upgraded. But now, in the preseason, that's where we could see that put into practice. We could see these depth pieces like Marcus Bowe get big reps. We could see guys like Josh Azidu, like James Hudson, and all of these players are going to be playing an extended amount of time that you probably don't expect of them in the regular season, barring any injuries or anything serious occurring. The other thing that I'm looking for is the rookies. I cannot wait to watch Jackson Dart throw the football in a game setting. I'm very excited to see Abdul Carter get some reps. Marcus Bowe, someone I already mentioned that I'm also excited to see. Darius Alexander as well. I actually do have quite a bit of interest in watching Thomas Fidone II play. 7th round draft pick, not a guy who you expect to make a big impact, but a guy who's had some quietly impressive reps during training camp. If you guys don't know the story of Thomas Fidone, he was drafted in the 7th round by the Giants coming out of Nebraska. And before he went to Nebraska, in high school, he was the number ranked tight end coming out in his recruiting class ahead of Brock Bowers. And I'm sure you all know about the all-worldly talent that Brock Bowers is. The reason why Thomas Fidone didn't have the same career arc as Brock Bowers, well, he tore his ACL as a freshman, then he tore the same ACL again as a sophomore. So that delayed his development and his progress. And then ultimately he ended up as a nearly undrafted 7th round pick with the New York Giants. So the talent's there. The injury history, though, derailed his development, and he's behind on his development. But can he be something with the Giants? That's the question mark. The Giants have a handful of tight ends on this roster right now. They really believe in Theo Johnson as their starter. They still like Daniel Bellinger, and he's had a pretty good camp. But they like Greg Dulcich as well. They really like Chris Manhertz. And, of course, now there is Thomas Fidone. And I think there are even some other competitors on the back end of this roster at the tight end spot. So how many tight ends will the Giants hold? Will they hold 3? Will they hold 4? That'll be decided after the preseason. But that's why I'm keeping a close eye on rookie 7th round pick, Thomas Fidone. Now, we do have a super chat here from Sam. Sam, thank you so much. Appreciate the $5. One of our long-term viewers here. It's been a while, but you know what? We're back going live, and Sam is back joining us as I expected him to be. So, Sam, thank you for joining me today. I see you asked the question in the chat. What is Cam Scadaboo's status? Doesn't sound like he's going to play tomorrow. Brian Dable did tell the media yesterday, however, that it is not a long-term injury for Cam Skattebo. So positive update there. Skattebo will not play in this preseason game. I think there is a chance he plays in next weekend's preseason game against the New York Jets. However, that also could be up in the air, but I do think we see him by the third preseason game. If not, considering there is that bye week after the third preseason game and then the regular season game, I think that we've got plenty of time for Cam Skattebo to heal up here. So status is probably out tomorrow, more than likely out tomorrow, but not a long-term injury is what the Giants said. So hopeful that he'll be able to make a return somewhat soon. Yeah, Bucky boy, I think you're right about this. LeJohntay Wester looked awesome last night, but I'll say this. Alex gets obsessed with a wide receiver in the draft process every year. He was obsessed with Malachi Corley last year. And so him and I were texting each other this morning and fighting about it. I wish he were here in this live stream so he could fight again with me. And I was telling him, this is just your Malachi Corley of this year. He's going to be buried on the depth chart, maybe even get cut out of camp. So we were actually having some pretty fun, playful banter this morning, arguing about LeJohntay Wester. But I like LeJohntay Wester. I think he's a good player. He might end up being something. Let me say what's up to all of you who are in here. I saw the Crimson Lotus was in here very early. Shout out to you, my friend. You're pretty much always first in the comment section, although you do have your competitors. Daniel, like I said, yes, I will be live tomorrow. Hey, Sinister Soup. Colton, what's going on, man? What's up, Fireplace? What's up, the Big Moo? Who is on the actual final roster as of now for the New York Giants? Well, right now the Giants are holding 90 players, as all teams do at the start of the preseason. They will trim that all the way down to 53 players by the end of the preseason and prior to the start of the regular season. So who's on the final roster as of now? 53 of these guys will make it. I can't really tell you who will make it because I got to see what happens in the preseason. There's some guys who are up in the air. I think that Montrell Washington's had a good camp, but he's going to need to prove it during the preseason. Same thing for Bo Collins. Same thing for D. Williams, the cornerback. Same thing for Art Green, the cornerback, and some of these defensive linemen as well. A lot of competition on this roster right now. A lot of guys vying for a spot on the 53. CJ Talks Movies says, Anthony. CJ Talks Movies. If you got a question for me, drop it though, CJ. Sam says, for the first time in years, I feel we have depth. Joe Shane said that as well. You know, he did an interview recently on ESPN Radio, and he was asked about the offensive line and said that he feels like they really upgraded the depth this year. And we've had some criticism to share about the Giants offensive line this offseason because they didn't add any starting talent. You know, they ran back the same starting five as last year, and that starting five wasn't necessarily a world beater. Yes, they were good at the beginning of the year when Andrew Thomas was healthy, but he's still not healthy. I don't think Greg Van Roten is the guy that you settle on as your starter. Yes, he's fine as a starter, but you don't settle on him being your starter. For me, I think you look to continue to upgrade. The Giants did. They just weren't able to find the right guy for the right price. I like Jermaine Illuminor at right tackle, but he's in his 30s. John Michael Schmitz, the Giants are banking on him turning it around. I'm not completely convinced he will. And John Runyon Jr. is coming off of an injury, so a lot of question marks in the starting five, but nevertheless, the Giants are rolling with the same starting five. Now, the upgrades that they made to the depth are substantial. I think that Marcus Bowe has a lot of potential to develop into a starter one day. 5th-round pick that the Giants drafted. Projected 3rd-round pick really fell into their lap. And I think that James Hudson, while he's not the greatest offensive tackle in the world, he's definitely an upgrade over Josh Azidu last season, who's still on this roster competing. I think that James Hudson's an upgrade over him. And I think that James Hudson is an upgrade over picking Chris Hubbard off of the San Francisco 49ers practice squad mid-season. So I like that upgrade. I think Stone Forsythe similarly is an upgrade over picking up a random guy off a practice squad. So the depth is definitely improved, but there's still a long way to go in terms of the depth as well in this team. But in the secondary, there's certainly some depth. In the linebacker core, I think they're starting to find some depth. There's definitely defensive line depth, especially on the edge. Obviously, you've got Burns and Carter and Thibodeau, but you've also got Chauncey Golston, who's a good player. And on the defensive interior, yes, there's Dexter Lawrence, but there's also Jordan Riley. There's Darius Alexander. There's Jeremiah Ledbetter. There's Roy Robertson Harris. There's Elijah Chapman. A lot of guys on the interior of the D-line. So I feel good about that unit. And then the receiving core, I am starting to feel like that's thinned out a little bit. Yes, you've got your big four of Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Jalen Hyatt. But behind those guys, especially in the slots, I really don't trust Amir Smith-Marset, the kick returner, to be a slot receiver backup. Dalen Cambria as well is more of a special teams guy. Bo Collins can play inside-outside, but again, an undrafted rookie. Same with Montrell Washington, a slot receiver, but an undrafted rookie. Lil Jordan Humphrey is a good outside guy, but that doesn't help our lack of depth in the slot, and also never amounted to much in the NFL. Essentially, the depth does concern me at wide receiver. At running back, I think we got good depth. At quarterback, we have great depth with Jameis Winston as a backup and Jackson Dart developing. And that's the number one thing the Giants needed to get right this year. Have a quarterback room and have some insurance in the quarterback room. So I do feel a lot better about this team and its depth. But where we find the answers to our questions about the depth is the preseason. And that's why I'm excited for tomorrow's game. These Eagles fans saying Tanner McKee is the next Tom Brady. Well, these Eagles fans can wake up and start to taste what reality is like, because that is not the case. I'm not sure when the first cuts come in. The wire picks, though, are usually at the end of the preseason. If anybody does know the answer to this question, drop it in the chat, because it is drawing a blank in my mind. Sinister Soup. Hey, Anthony, are you happy with Russ playing less in the preseason, given the fact he is a veteran? Would you rather him play more in the preseason than what we saw from Jones last year? I have a lot to say on this. This is a topic of conversation that really riles me up. I get really pissed off by the Giants' lack of playing time given to the starters in the preseason. I find it utterly ridiculous the way that Brian Daboll babies the starters going into the regular season. I actually saw that there was Darius Slayton and Greg Van Roten mentioning they want to play more in the preseason than they have in the past because they go into the regular season rusty. Duh, obviously. The Giants have been outscored, 68-6 in their last two regular season openers? Obviously, the 40-0 loss in MetLife 2 seasons ago, Daniel Jones as the starting quarterback in that game against Dallas. And then last year, that embarrassment at home against the Vikings. The Giants have been completely blown out in back-to-back regular season openers. They've been completely sluggish for the first 4 weeks of each of these 2 seasons. And the common denominator for me is a country club attitude when it comes to the regular season preparation, when it comes to the preseason. I mean, seriously, Brian Daboll is so reluctant to play starters out of a fear of getting injured. But you look around the league right now, and there are players losing their seasons during practice. You cannot play football scared. You cannot be so afraid of a player getting injured during the preseason that you sacrifice all of their time and ability to knock off the rust and then have them do that in the regular season when the games count. This is the time to knock off the rust. This is the time to get prepared. So the Giants need to be better at that. They need to be more proactive in getting these guys on the field. Last season, I think I was cursing on this podcast because I saw Patrick Mahomes taking snaps. I saw Josh Allen, CJ Stroud. I saw all of these star quarterbacks taking snaps in the first game of the preseason. And I saw Daniel Jones sitting his sorry ass on the bench watching from the sideline. What are we doing? Get these guys on the field and get them ready. And then, lo and behold, week 2 of the preseason, Jones gets thrown out there, looks like a deer in headlights, and is terrible. Same story for week 1 because he also didn't play at all in week 3 of the preseason. The Giants need to actually put their guys on the field. I saw last night Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow getting their chemistry hot. They're going to hit the regular season. They're going to go hitting the ground running as soon as week 1, in large part because of the chemistry that they built throughout the summer and because they got some live reps in the preseason. I saw 2 big catches from Jamar Chase, including one that was a timing route, turnaround stop, catch and run into the end zone for 6 points with perfect throw from Joe Burrow. Those reps are important. I need to see Russell Wilson and Malik Neighbors get some of those reps this preseason. It sounds like they're not going to get them tomorrow. I don't agree with this from Brian Daboll. I don't see the logic. I think it's better to get those chemistry reps, better to get those knock off the rust reps than play afraid and try to avoid injuries. Like I said, Neighbors, knock on wood, but he could go into practice on a Tuesday and he could get just as severely injured as he would in any preseason game. Non-contact injuries are actually usually the season enders. The contact injuries are not, for the most part. So I'm looking at this unprepared nature of the Giants roster the last 2 seasons, and I'm saying learn from it, Brian Daboll. Make a change. Play your players in the preseason. That's where you get prepared for the regular season. So that's my take on it. Like I said, I get riled up over this question. Colton saying Russ didn't play for like 5 weeks in the regular season last year, and he looked great right away with Pittsburgh. Yeah, but that's because he was injured. He had the excuse not to play, and also he looked great right away in Pittsburgh because he was entering a team that was already hot and rolling after going on a big win streak with Justin Fields. This is a team that will largely be unprepared if all of the starters are not playing. If just one guy isn't playing and then he gets in with this team that's already in a groove, it's different. Also, the Steelers are a far more talented roster than the Giants. That has to be acknowledged. Antonio Lopez, wide receiver and line is team position of need next draft for sure. Yes, I think especially with Wan'Dale Robinson's contract expiring and also just the bad status of the offensive line over the last several years, those will be priorities. Jerry saying, not going to lie, our interior depth sucks. On the interior of the offensive line, it's terrible, but I do like it on the interior of the defensive line personally. Sam with another $5. Appreciate you so much, my friend. Thank you. Hope you're enjoying the FSG hat. QB1 Productions, does it matter to you that Josh Allen isn't playing tomorrow? No, for me personally, it does not matter. That would not change whether or not I play my starters if I were Brian Daboll. I think you have a process and you stick to it. Josh Allen isn't playing in this preseason game. He's coming off of an MVP season. He's earned that right, I suppose. If he doesn't want to play, he doesn't play. I'm honestly, if it were me, I would play him just for a drive or two. I think it's good to get those snaps and get these guys in a rhythm, but it doesn't matter to me from the perspective of the Giants and Brian Daboll. Go get your guys ready and get them on the field. Enough of this bubble wrapping mediocre players like Daniel frickin' Jones. Fireplace Gaming. The preseason snaps for the starters in years past have been too low, in my opinion. Some more reps to warm up properly for the season. 100% agree. I want to see Malik Neighbors make some grabs in the preseason. I know a lot of people want to bubble wrap him, and I kind of do understand that logic. And if he's hurt, then sure, bubble wrap him. I know he's got this toe thing going on. But also, I want to see him get a chemistry with Russell Wilson so that they're all on the same page in week 1. I want to beat the Commanders in week 1. I know it's a tough matchup, but they're all tough matchups. You got to be ready to go. Daniel Cohen says, do you think if JMS struggles, they move GVR to center and start Evan Neal at right guard? I do think there's a possibility of that. But I also think there's a possibility that Evan Neal starts the season at right guard and Greg Van Roten becomes the backup center. And if the JMS struggles, they pull him. It's also a possibility, but we'll see. Agreed, Charles Barkley. Agreed. They came out of the gates hot in the second half, but honestly, that was a trend throughout a lot of those games in 2022. Sluggish starts to games. It's been a trend throughout the whole Brian Daboll era. His preparation on game days, his preparation in the preseason, it baffles me. I'm not going to say he's not a good head coach because I do think that he's shown flashes of being a really good head coach in 2022 in particular. In 2023 as well. I know that's a bad season for the Giants. They only won 6 games. But, I mean, he did find a way to win 3 games in a row with Tommy DeVito as his quarterback. The defense had a lot to do with that. Wink Martindale deserves a lot of credit for that. But even still, the players do respect him. And I think that he's done a good job holding the locker room together. So I'm not going to call him a bad coach, but he's definitely got a lot to prove going into year 4. Eli, you missed a rant from me about Brian Daboll not preparing his guys through the preseason. I'm hoping that we get some good snaps from the starters this preseason. All right. H50 Pharaoh, appreciate the super chat, my friend. Can't wait to see Dart play tomorrow. Milrow looked okay, but his run was explosive. DJ looked like DJ. Love the show. Yeah, appreciate you so much, man. And in terms of Daniel Jones, I don't want to just rag on him. And, I really don't even want to talk about him because he's not on the Giants anymore. So I feel like I'm free. I don't have to talk about him anymore. But I will say this. He had one throw rolling to his left yesterday. And half of Twitter just decided to ignore the dirt balls that he threw into the ground, the sacks that he took, the inaccuracy, the poor decision-making. They look at one play and they're like, see, I told you he's a good player. He threw a 47% completion rate, but that's classic. That's what I've dealt with for the last 6 years, and I'm so happy I don't have to deal with it anymore. But yeah, I'm really excited to see Jackson Dart play tomorrow. It's the number one thing I'm excited for. The Colton likes the DJ slander. Yeah, he wasn't good against the backups. 47% completion rate. Ain't that the truth? Sam saying, Tony, what positions will we look at on the wire after cuts? Thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. On the waiver wire, I think we'll look at interior offensive line depth. I think we'll look at wide receiver depth. And I think those are probably the two main spots that we'll look at. Wide receiver and O-line. And potentially cornerback, but maybe not. The Giants seem to like the depth pieces that they have at cornerback. Rainbow Cookie, exactly my point. Rashawn Slater tore his patella tendon yesterday at practice. It can happen at any time. If you play scared, it's actually more likely to happen. There's research that suggests that. So go out there and play in the preseason and don't be a scaredy cat. Jamal Lawson saying, is it possible that the O-line isn't good? It's more than possible. I don't think they'll be good. I think that they will be average at best. I mean, even like looking at it, guys, with Andrew Thomas, sure, he's an elite talent when he's healthy. Let's say he manages to play all 17 games. That's a great left tackle. It's a slightly above average left guard in John Runyon Jr. But just to be frank about it, he gets paid $10 million a year. The Giants want him to be a great player. He's not a great player. He's a good player. John Michael Schmitz has proven nothing. There's a great chance that he's terrible again this year. And even if he is good, the impact of a good center is not all that great. And then at right guard, you've got a 35-year-old in Greg Van Roten who is average at best. He's a career backup who recently, over the last 3 years, got thrust into starting lineups and was average. You've got Evan Neal who might play, and we all know he's been a liability when he's been on the field. Perhaps he progresses and develops at guard. Perhaps he's still a liability. And then Jermaine Illuminor, frankly, is an average right tackle. We really like him as Giants fans because he's a major upgrade over the worst offensive tackle play of all time that we had to suffer throughout the last several seasons. So getting an average right tackle was a big upgrade. But really, across the board, it's a lot of average at best on the Giants' offensive line. So it's very possible that this O-line isn't good. I'm hoping that it's an average offensive line, because if it's average, and if this offense is just average, but the defense is top 10, that could be enough to win 7 games. Really, in the NFL, you only need average offensive line play. You get great offensive line play, and you could be a Super Bowl contender. But you get average offensive line play, and you can be an average football team. And I think we're all in agreement. We're not trying to go from worst to first. We just want to see a decent product on the field this year. We just want to see the Giants be competitive. And if average is competitive, I think we'll take average for a year and hope that Jackson Dart elevates us to elite the following year. Yeah, 2 divisional games to start the season, and it doesn't slow down from there. Then you've got the Chiefs at home in week 3, and you've got the Chargers in week 4. I know they lost Rashawn Slater, but still a really good football team. So cannot be underprepared at the start of the season. Daniel Cohen with a good question here. Any slot receivers on free agency? Let me take a look at the free agents who are currently available. I don't know if there's any slot receivers. I know obviously the Giants met with Gabe Davis and he's still available. He could end up getting signed. Keenan Allen, I think, just signed with the Chargers. Is that right? Tyler Boyd, actually, that is the answer. Tyler Boyd used to be one of the best slot receivers in the NFL. But now he's about 31 years old, and he's not even close to the same player that he used to be. But at one point in his career, he was a pretty good slot receiver. So I guess he could be some good depth. And there's also Nelson Aguilar, 32 years old. He also could be a decent depth slot receiver. Filta asking the big question here. What is wrong with Evan Neal? I know people are saying he looks better at right guard, but we don't have the best D tackles in the league. And he always looked lost out there when going against average to elite players. Well, I think he was lost playing right tackle. This is a player who came out of college on the left side of the line, and flipping to the right side of the line can be a real challenge for some offensive linemen. So going from left tackle to right tackle, I think, stunted his growth. And then also, I just think the speed of the game is too fast for him, especially on the edge. I mean, you look at guys like, let's look at Abdul Carter, for example, Brian Burns, the speed that those two guys possess. They are fast, particularly getting out of their stance on the line of scrimmage. A guy like Evan Neal, he's oversized. He is too big to move and get in front of those guys. He's a 6'8", 350-pound man. Even if he is the fastest 6'8", 350-pound man in the league, he's probably still not fast enough to get in front of a guy like Abdul Carter on the edge. So that's really what the problem was. He's not a tackle, and he hasn't been a tackle. So moving him to guard could make him a better player. It's more of working in functional space, tight spaces, and using your power rather than your feet and quickness. So hopefully he's better at guard. CJ says, I'm sorry, Anthony, but the interior defensive line scares me to death. Yeah, I mean, to be frank, the Giants are going to be relying on their linebackers a lot in run defense. I think when you look at Raheem Nunez-Roches, he doesn't really give you a lot of hope. I mean, Roy Robertson-Harris, again, is average, backup potentially. So I see what you mean. It's not the best group, but it's better than it was last year, and hopefully that will be enough. I don't know. Antonio, thoughts on the CB2 battle with Banks and Flott? Also, Art Green as a camp standout wasn't in my book, TBH. Wasn't in mine either, nor D. Williams. Also, do not search D. Williams. Don't look him up. Don't search for him on Twitter. You will find something that you do not want to see. He shares a name with a famous person in a completely different industry, so don't look him up. But he had a really good training camp. He had a practice on Friday of last week, a week ago today. He had 2 interceptions, one on Russell Wilson, the other one on Jameis Winston, and 2 pass breakups. He was playing out of his mind. So definitely got to keep an eye on in the preseason, but definitely also taking a look at Art Green. I don't think any of these guys are competing for CB2, though. That's going to be Flott and Banks. And I think that's the number one position battle to keep an eye on in the preseason. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, lack of chemistry definitely hurt the offensive line too, but they got to stay healthy. I cannot wait to see Abdul Carter play either. He'll get some reps tomorrow too, and I'm very excited for that. I don't consider them good or great. I consider them average. I think Giants fans saw an average offensive line and got really excited and then said that this offensive line is finally good. This offensive line was finally better than bad. That's really what it was. They weren't great. They were better, though, and I think that they will be better this year with some better health, hopefully, but we'll see. Pastor Charles Stewart, thank you for joining me, Pastor. You hit it on the money. Starters should play and get reps in for the regular season. No more middle school play this year. Go Big Blue, 11-6. Yeah, I said it. Wow. 11-6. Let's manifest that one. Man, I would love to see the Giants go to the playoffs. Been too long. And it's only happened once in 10 years. Yeah, I agree, though. Let's get these guys out there. Let's get some playing time for the starters. Yeah, there is a lot of offensive line talent coming up in this year's draft. Also a lot of quarterback talent, although I really hope we're not picking the quarterback because I really want to see Jackson Dart pan out. But there should definitely be opportunities to upgrade the O-line. LFG, I'm ready for game day too. LFGG, let's freaking go Giants. Yeah, I just want to compete. I want to get to November and the Giants games are meaningful. I want to get into December and the games that they're playing mean something. I don't want to be, oh, it's better if we lose this game for a higher draft pick. No, I want to win so that we're pushing towards a playoff spot. I want to see this team be competitive. Don't do that. Don't do that. How is Dexter 99 overall nose tackle rating but not included in the 99 club? Is that not Madden? Is he a 99 nose tackle and not a 99 overall? I don't know, dude. The new Madden, I got the trial for it and I was playing it. They made some minor changes and some upgrades. I don't know, though. It's largely still the same game. They promised some overhauls and major changes to franchise mode. I think there were some key changes, but I don't think you can call it an overhaul. However, though, on that topic of conversation, I dropped a post on the community page today asking you guys, any interest in me doing a Madden Giants franchise rebuild? And so far, we have an 85% vote for yes. But comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Do you want to see me rebuild the New York Giants on the new Madden and post it as an episodic series here on the channel? It would also be interactive. We would get through some games and we'd say, hey, we got a crucial roster decision to make. It's the trade deadline. Should we trade this player? Should we trade for that player? And then you guys vote in the comments, and then we go ahead and we move forward in the next episode. So that's the concept of the series. But before I launch it, go through all the effort of recording it and editing it, I want to hear your feedback. Do you guys want to see that happen? I know there's been some interest in the past, but I think we're finally positioned to get that done this year. So let me know if you want to see the franchise rebuild. I think Deonte Banks is the better fit for the CB2 spot. Taking draft position out of it, the reason he was drafted so high, though, is because of his upside. And I'm going to bank on upside for this team because that's really what they need. Getting an average player, the ceiling is not that high with Cordell Flott. He can be a good player. Deonte Banks has the ceiling of an elite player. He is one of the most physically gifted players in the NFL. The 10.0 relative athletic score at the combine. He runs a 4.3 something 40. He puts up more bench reps than a guy his size should be able to. He's got the perfect height and weight for a cornerback. Like, his build is perfect for the position. It's just the technical things, the ball skills. He's got to figure that stuff out. But he is the better fit for CB2 because of his intangible traits, the things you cannot teach him. So he's the better fit, but we'll see. I think Turbo can return kicks, but I'm not sure. What I'm most looking forward to seeing from Dart during the preseason game is poise. I want to see him get into a play where, let's say there's either pressure or it's a difficult down and distance. I want to see a moment where things are a little bit sketchy, but he hangs in the pocket and makes a play. I just want to see poise from him. Not to say that he didn't have that at Ole Miss. He did, but I want to see it translate to the NFL. And I also do want to see his comfort running an offense. He ran a 7-on-7 offense essentially at Ole Miss. Now he's calling plays. He's reading coverages. He's changing things at the line of scrimmage. He has a cadence to follow. Let's see if he's able to do all those things that are teachable. Because he's got the unteachable stuff, in my opinion, but the teachable stuff, let's see how he does. All right, we got one yes for the rebuild, so perhaps we will do it. Fireplace says yes. Yeah, but Filto, what I'll say to this, Evan Neal is going to get worked by Abdul Carter, as is everybody else on the offensive line. I really wish that Andrew Thomas was practicing so that you guys could see Abdul Carter would work him too. It's very tough to win one-on-ones as an offensive lineman. These reps at practice are very difficult for the offensive line. They are at a disadvantage, even when the pads are on, but especially when the pads are off. But I just think he was a number 3 overall pick. You want to see him work a guy like Evan Neal. Evan Neal, hopefully, with tight ends and tackles next to him and all those moving pieces helping him, you hope that he's able to block some of these average to above players during the regular season, sure, but you don't expect him to hold up one-on-one with the number 3 overall pick in the draft personally. So that's my take on it. I think instead of looking at it as a concern for Neal, I look at how dominant Abdul Carter was in one-on-ones as just, okay, yeah, that's the reason they took him number 3 overall. And so he should be doing this, and he should continue to do this. I think that you can. I think there's a lot of ways you can get all 3 of those guys on the field. No, you can't have them all attack tackles off the edge. However, let's imagine a 4-3 defensive front. Let's actually call it a 4-2 defensive front, and let's go into the nickel package here. Let's call it a 4-2-5. So in that package, kind of like the NASCAR of the past with Steve Spagnuolo, if you're familiar, what you're going to do is take your big guys off the field for the most part. So in nickel coverage, you put an extra defensive back on the field and you take off a linebacker. And the reason why is because you know that the other team is going to pass usually. It's a passing down. Let's call it 3rd and 8. On a 3rd and 8, just inside of field goal range, what's your number 1 goal? Sack the quarterback, push them out of field goal range. And those opportunities occur a lot. So let's imagine that you now are running this nickel package with 4 down linemen. What 4 defensive linemen do you want on the field? Are you going to have Nacho out there? No. What you're going to do is have Brian Burns on one edge. You're going to have Kayvon Thibodeau on the other edge. And then you're going to have Dexter Lawrence in the middle. And you're going to have Abdul Carter alongside him. Abdul Carter is going to get around to pretty much every single guard in front of him. Dexter Lawrence is going to take up the center and the guard to create a one-on-one for Abdul Carter over the guard. And then it's one-on-ones on the tackles for Thibodeau and Burns. So there's a lot of different ways and packages that you can put together to get all these guys on the field at once. You can even drop Dexter Lawrence off on the field here on a 3rd and 8 and throw on another pure pass rusher like a Chauncey Golston since he's an edge, just to add even more speed to the front if you want. Although I wouldn't do that because you're not going to get the double team benefit. And then even in like your base defense, Abdul Carter's not small. He's built like a shit brick house, for a lack of better terms, and excuse my French. So he can move over to the interior in those packages as well. Whether you're talking it's a 3-4, if you want to have him play a little bit of 3-tech, or if it's a 4-3 and you want him in the 4-eye. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get all of these guys on the field at the same time. Even I would say you can make him your off-ball linebacker and probably line him up in the A-gap as a stand-up in a 2-point stance linebacker. And then that's a huge advantage for Abdul Carter, because if you're not even putting his hand in the dirt, and let's say you've got Nacho Roches and you've got Dexter Lawrence both on the down interior of the line. Let's call this a 4-3 defense. So then on the defensive ends, the 5-techs would be Burns and Thibodeau. And then one of your off-ball linebackers standing in between these two defensive tackles, basically right over the center, is Abdul Carter. That ball is snapped. Carter's in a 2-point stance, standing up. He's going to barrel through that center. So again, there's just a lot of ways. And then, yes, you're blitzing. So you're taking one of your linebackers out of coverage. That's fine. You can live with that because you expect Abdul Carter to force the quarterback to throw the ball quickly. So again, there's just a lot of ways that you can get him involved. He has experience playing off-ball linebacker too. So that's native to his experience and also just natural to him. And you can get really creative because he can line up as an off-ball in that A-gap and he can blitz, or he can drop back in coverage. He's got experience doing that too. So break it down for you in simple terms. They shouldn't have a single problem getting all of these guys on the field at once. Yeah, for sure. So Steven wants to see the rebuild as well. It seems like, yeah, Filter wants to see it too. In year 2 with Dart starting, and I traded Kayvon for 2 fourths and a 5th. That seems like fine value for him. I think he's like, what, a 77 in this game? For Dable to keep his job, I think he needs to win at least 6 games, and that's being nice. Probably 7 or 8. Tony, the interior defensive line outside Dex has been underperforming, but like the free agent pickups and Alexander. Sam, thank you so much for another super chat. Really do appreciate it. And I do agree with you. I also like the pickups. I like Chauncey Golston as an edge plus as an interior defensive lineman upgrade. And I do like Roy Robertson Harris. He's had some pretty good moments at camp. So I think the depth is improved. Although you're right, it is an underperforming facet of this team. They definitely need to continue to upgrade there and hope that a guy like a Darius Alexander can develop. All right, let's see. Yes, it is very hard to trust a guy that doesn't have ball skills, but I do think ball skills can be taught and learned. So is Paulson Debo a number 1 corner? I'm just saying Neighbors is beating him a lot. Same thing that I said about Abdul Carter. He's a number 3 pick. He should be beating everybody he's going up against. Malik Neighbors, he went for 1,200 yards last year. He should be beating everybody he's going up against. I mean, Malik Neighbors should be able to torch the best of the best. Paulson Debo's a good player. He's not the best of the best. But when it's Neighbors versus Pat Surtain, for example, I'm expecting Neighbors to still find a way to put up 70 yards. So he's going to beat Paulson Debo in these one-on-ones in practice. It's just how it's going to be. But I don't know if Paulson Debo is a number 1 corner, though. To answer the front half of that question, taking Neighbors out of the equation, Paulson Debo never has been a number 1 corner. He was a number 2 for the New Orleans Saints. He was a really good number 2, and he's got traits that project he could be a number 1. But when he was a number 1, it was only for a few weeks after Marshawn Lattimore was traded, and then he broke his leg. So we haven't seen it. It's a lot of projection, and he's got to prove it. Carter is only 1 year playing the edge, but he's also probably the 3rd best athlete on the team. I mean, if you guys remember Micah Parsons when he did his NFL Combine, and he ran, what was Micah Parsons' Combine? 4.39 second 40-yard dash, 34-inch vertical jump, 126 broad jump, 19 bench reps. Yeah, Micah Parsons, freak of nature. Abdul Carter probably had a higher bench reps, maybe even had higher jumps, maybe a little bit slower on the 40. I don't know. But I don't think he did the combine. And I don't think he did his pro day either. So we don't know what his measurements are. But if I were to project them for you personally, I think he beats the 19 bench reps. I think his vertical jump is probably 38 inches. And I think his 40 is probably a 4.45. So you take all that into account. Who's a better athlete on this team than him, other than maybe Malik Neighbors and Deontay Banks, considering his size and everything? Edward Hyatt will get more targets this year. I'm pretty confident in that. Russell Wilson really likes him, and Russell Wilson actually looks downfield to throw the ball, doesn't just check down every 2 seconds. So, yeah, I think Hyatt gets more targets. Does he get an abundance of targets? Does he go for 1,000 yards? No, he's still the 4th-string receiver. And yes, I would think that he cuts into Robinson's target share. I think Wandale's target share is going down this season because Russell Wilson doesn't throw necessarily that effectively over the middle of the field because he's a shorter quarterback. But he's really good outside the numbers, so he'll definitely pepper Malik Neighbors and hit Darius Slayton and even Jalen Hyatt a good amount. Let's see. What would Banks have to do this year to get to the point where you wouldn't want to draft or sign another CB2 next offseason? Good question, Sinister Soup. I think I would need him to win 3 matchups decisively this season. And I mean, like, he's got to go up against George Pickens in a game and shut him down. He's got to go up against a Devontae Smith in a game and shut him down. And he's got to go up against a Deebo Samuel in a game and shut him down. Like, he's got to have 3 games where he is a shutdown cornerback for me to feel comfortable going into the starting lineup with him next season. And then he can't have 3 blow-up games. Let's call it 3-3. Like, 6 games out of 17, it's a significant chunk. If he's average to slightly above for the 11 games, but he's great for 3 of them, but he's really bad for 3 of them, I don't know. I can't see him have more than 3 blow-up games. I don't even want to see 3. Just be average, and I'll be okay with it. I think he can get by with an average CB2. Although I would like him to be a great player. He really does have the potential to be great. Steven, absolutely. Should be plenty of business meetings happening in the pocket. These pass rushers are going to get home. 5-2-4 package for sure. Cameron, I don't even want to talk about it. Disaster. I'd seen people react to it on Twitter. It was like, what a throw across his body. Yes, his only completion, 15 yards downfield. Fantastic. Into double coverage. Should have been picked. He's playing against backups. Cameron Johnson said, Wandale had 90-plus grabs last year. That's fine if his target share goes down. Yeah, 90-plus grabs is great. 7.5 yards per reception, not so great. So I need to see more efficient targets. That's probably a good comparison. And yeah, Deebo was definitely a better CB2 than Banks. Deebo was a good CB2. That's why the Giants are trying to make him a CB1. Steven, I actually think A.D. Mitchell, in terms of his raw physical talent, he's got traits to be a WR1. I don't think he will be. I think he will be a WR2 at some point in his career, like a good one. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, I like him as a WR2. Sam asking the important questions here and trying to expose me as I've weaseled my way out of this one. Tony, when will we see your backflip for Marcus Bowe? Unfortunately, guys, I was not able to learn how to do the backflip. So I know I promised to give you guys a backflip if the Giants drafted Marcus Bowe. They did, but instead, I'm going to have to come up with something else, likely a giveaway or something of that sort to reward you guys. So, yeah. Sorry about that. No backflips from me. I'm not that athletic. I'm a little bit athletic, not that athletic. When we get into dime package, what defensive backs do you think would be best for that package? So anybody who isn't familiar, dime package is 6 defensive backs on the field. So you need your 2 corners. That would be Paulson, and that would be Banks. Let's imagine. Obviously, your nickel cornerback and Drew Phillips is going to be out there. And then you've got your 2 safeties and Javon Holland, and you've got Tyler Newman. The sixth defensive back for me is going to be the big nickel / the cash defender. That's Dane Belton. That's the role that he played to a T perfectly at Iowa in his collegiate career. And that's the role that he's played sporadically with the New York Giants. They don't play a ton of dime. Dime is a pretty rare package to deploy. It's one that you deploy twice every 10 plays, maybe, if that. So, but it'll be Dane Belton. He's got the ability to hit, he can tackle, and he's got a nose for the football. And usually when you're in dime, you're probably pass rushing heavy and trying to force turnovers. So you want Dane Belton out there for that. A-Train, yo, Anthony, sorry I didn't see you last week, but in the beginning you said Jones did not play preseason. Was it because of his injury clause or was it just a coach decision? A-Train, no problem. There's going to be other opportunities. In fact, guys, I've mentioned this before, but I got to really start pushing it now because we're getting close to week 1. Bezara Music Festival. Go down in the description box. I'm going to actually add that right now. Use the code BIGBLUE at checkout for a discount. But you can get tickets to the Bezara Music Festival. I will be there doing a live show at the festival. You can hang out with me. You can talk Giants with me. And you can see me do Fireside Giants live. And there's also going to be a watch-along at a nearby restaurant for Sunday's game. So you can watch a Giants game with me. That's one of the opportunities to see me this season. Spoiler alert, we're planning a tailgate, a Giants fan, Fireside Giants tailgate sometime later this season. Alex and I are coordinating that right now, and another watch party at a restaurant. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities. Don't sweat it. But why didn't Jones play in the preseason? Jones didn't play in the preseason, I think, because the Giants were afraid of him getting injured and not having the excuse of him being bad once he was in the regular season. I think they were just afraid of injuries, to be honest. I don't think it had anything to do with his clause. I know Sam did call me out. He called me out in my DMs the other day, and now he's calling me out publicly. So, but it's all in good fun. I think it's very realistic, Cam. Last season, Holland had a down year. So did the entirety of the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins were banged up and injured all over the place. They had scheme problems. They had a lot of problems, cultural problems. I think Javon Holland will be good this year. Jones last night was not even to score a touchdown on the second team. So glad he's gone. Yeah, you and me both, my friend. From what I've seen on Dart, he already has better ball placement than Jones. DJ never learned to drop the ball over linebackers. Dart does throw with better anticipation than Daniel Jones, in my opinion, already. Jones was not an anticipatory thrower, and he didn't know how to hit guys in stride. I think Jackson Dart was a lot better at that at Ole Miss than even Jones was at Duke. Would you prefer to see an aggressive Dart tomorrow and the potential for a lot of interceptions, or a more conservative first start and more 3-and-outs? I don't want to see 3-and-outs, and I like aggressive quarterbacks, so I'll vote for that. I'd like to see a good blend, and I'd like to see poise, as I mentioned earlier, but I'll take aggressive over conservative. I don't want to see check down football like I endured the last 6 years. Steven asking, is cornerback or right tackle the biggest need going into the 2026 draft, or do you think those are the two positions going first and second round? Well, I really can't answer that because we're not even through this season, and I think the 2026 free agency could provide opportunities to upgrade those positions. So I'd have to see what happens in free agency before I could mention the draft. But if I had to guess right now, right tackle, because Jermaine Illuminor is going to be a free agent, at least at cornerback, Banks is under contract next year, and so is Paulson Adebo. And obviously, we've got a really good nickel in Drew Phillips. So I'm going to say tackle is going to be the bigger need, but I really couldn't tell you. It's going to be tough to tell until we get through the season. Do you think Bo can win the right tackle spot at any point in the season? I love his footwork, but his strength might be an issue. It's a good question, Daniel. I don't know if he's going to win the right tackle spot because, again, I think that Jermaine Illuminor is pretty good. Like, he's an average to slightly above player, and I think that's good enough for the Giants this year. I think more than likely Bo sees playing time at guard or left tackle. Essentially, what I mean by that is if Andrew Thomas gets hurt, I think the Giants would like to give Bo those reps if they're already out of playoff contention, which, let's face it, if Thomas gets hurt, the season's probably not going to be a good one. So, yeah, I think we'll see Bo play one of the tackle spots or guard. but eventually he can become a starting right tackle for sure. He's got talent. I'm so excited to finally have a quarterback that can read the defense. But this is a great part of this, Filter. Which quarterback? Because we have 3 that could potentially do that. We know Russell Wilson can read a defense. We know Jameis Winston can read a defense. He just ignores what he reads and throws into the coverage anyways a lot of the times. But he can read a defense. And now Jackson Dart is a player that I think can learn to read a defense quite well. So I am also very excited. It's the reason that I am so optimistic. Montrell Washington is a surprise standout. Does he make the 5th spot, or Pascal or Humphrey? I think it's a competition with all 3 of those guys, but you're also leaving out Bo Collins. Bo Collins has a really good chance of making this roster. The Giants are head over heels for this guy. They really like him. Montrell Washington's good, though. I like Montrell Washington a lot. Rainbow Cookie, what do you think of JMS so far in camp? If he can't improve this year with Russ under center, it's time to move on. I do not think he was impressive during camp, and I'm concerned about him, quite frankly. I need to see him play a good amount in this preseason because I need to feel like he's good to go for the regular season. And also, he needs to stay healthy. He's been hurt both of the 2 seasons that he's had so far, and he hasn't played good in either of those seasons. Can't improve this year with Russ under center. It's time to move on. I agree. If JMS is not able to prove it this year, time to look for an upgrade in 2026. Cameron Johnson, what has Juice Wells been doing? Not a whole lot. Doesn't seem like he's got a real shot of making the roster, but let's see preseason. Steven, yes. Marcus Bowe, I think when you look at the size of Marcus Bowe, I think he's like 6'3". He's barely over 300 pounds relative to the rest of the offensive linemen. He's honestly built like a center. I think the backup plan for John Michael Schmitz should be Marcus Bowe. I know they like him at tackle. They want to upgrade at tackle. They want to see if he could stick at tackle first. Makes sense. It's a more valuable position. But realistically, I think that Marcus Bowe could end up being a really good center in this league if the Giants want to stick him there. We'll see, though. It felt so bad being the laughingstock of the NFL for years after the best years of watching football when I was in middle school. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. I mean, listen, hopefully the Giants are not the laughingstock this year, but you are right in the sense that I think back to like the 2011, 2012 season. I mean, that was the most fun seeing the Giants win that Super Bowl. That was so fun that year. All of the 4th quarter comebacks from Eli Manning, I'll never forget any of them. You can ask me details on any one of those games, and I will be able to pull out some specific memory that I have from it. And then even when I know the Giants were bad in 2014 and 15, but they were fun to watch because of Odell. And then 2016, we went to the playoffs. So I don't know. But since 2016, it's been really tough sledding. That 2017 season was devastating. Charles, why do you think Russ has fallen off so much the last 4 years? Is it more his fault or his teams that he's played with? I personally don't think he's fallen off as much as people make it out to seem. I know that season that he had with Denver was really bad, that first season. But if you look at his stats in that second season with Denver, before he was benched and cut, let me put this in perspective for you guys. 2023 was his worst. 2022 was his worst, right? Let me look at these stats again. Yeah, 2022 was bad. He went 16-11, touchdown, interception. But 2023, he was washed, and the Giants moved on from him. The Broncos moved on from him. With him as the starter that season, they went 7-8, and he had 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. That is a stat line that would have been a career year for Daniel Jones. So I want to put that into perspective. Yes, he's fallen off because he's not throwing for 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 6 picks like he did in his final season in Seattle. The season prior to that, he had 40 passing touchdowns. But let's just clarify. 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions would by far, with 3,000 passing yards and 4 fourth quarter comebacks and 4 game-winning drives that season. I'm talking about this is viewed as one of his worst seasons. This was the fall-off season. He also had 3 rushing touchdowns that year, so he had 29 total touchdowns that year. That is by far and away the best season of Daniel Jones' career. So is he what he used to be? No. He's not an elite talent anymore. Is he still a good quarterback? In my opinion, yes. I mean, 16-5 touchdown interception ratio last year, 2,400 yards, right, Rainbow Cookie? A quarterback throwing 26 touchdowns. What does that feel like? I don't know because I haven't seen it happen since Eli Manning. What did Daniel Jones have as a rookie? I think 24, right? That's his career high, 24 touchdowns. 24 as a rookie. Then we got, as a rookie, he had 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Then in year 2, in 14 starts, he had an 11-10 touchdown interception ratio. He followed that up in 11 starts with a 10-7 touchdown interception ratio. The best season of his career in 2022, a 15-5 touchdown interception ratio. Then in 2023, in 6 games, he had a 2-6 TD INT. And in 10 games last year, he had an 8-7 TD INT. So I struggle to see any world where even 2023 Russell Wilson is not an upgrade over Daniel Jones. And 2023 Russell Wilson is when people decided he fell off and was washed up. So I don't care, guys. I think that Russell Wilson, even if he's as good as he was in 2023, is a substantial upgrade over what we had for the last 6 years at quarterback. So I don't think he really has fallen off all that badly. He still throws a great deep ball. He's not as mobile as he was in the past. He doesn't see the middle of the field as well as he did in the past. Those are the reasons that he's not as good as he used to be. But also, I don't think he was a scheme fit for Denver. Yes, they traded for him. They thought he was going to be a lot better. I think he had a clashing personality with that asshole Sean Payton. I'm not a fan of him. I know he's a good coach. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer, whatever. I think he's overrated, and I don't think he's a good person. I think bad coaching from Sean Payton because they didn't get mesh well. And then last year with the Steelers, I mean, Arthur Smith was his offensive coordinator. So I don't think Russell Wilson is as bad as people make him out to be. I think he's still a good quarterback. And I actually think he's going to bounce back quite nicely with Brian Dable coaching him this year. Appreciate you, A-Train. Guys, seriously, though, the Bezara Music Festival, it's going to be a lot of fun. Go check out the link that I dropped. I'm going to drop it again, pushing this because it's going to be a great experience. And I'll also give you guys this point. Any other music festival in that area, the normal tickets start at $180. These are general admission plus tickets. So they're like right a cut under VIP, but they're special tickets for $115. And you get a discount code, Big Blue. So it's a really good deal. And you get to hang out with me and talk some Giants with me. And you get to go to a music festival. So good deals there. Go, guys, go get some tickets. And if you do get some tickets, DM me a screenshot down below in my Twitter. And I will send you guys a free hat from Fireside Giants or some stickers, whichever you prefer. So if you do get a ticket to Bezara, you also automatically get a gift from Fireside Giants. So get some tickets and screenshot them and send them to me. Dre Mac, what up, big dog? Jay, do you think Jake Kubas will show off in tomorrow's game? I don't think he'll show off, but he will play quite a bit. But hopefully he looks good. That'd be great. I would love to see a dominant series out of JMS. When have we ever seen that? Scott, I've said this before. I don't know if this is a hot take. There is nothing, in my opinion, that Russell Wilson can do to earn a contract extension. Because let's imagine that he goes out there and he plays Pro Bowl to All-Pro football and the Giants make the playoffs. Then he's going to look for a $30 million contract next year. And the Giants can't afford that. And they've got a rookie in Jackson Dart that they really like and who's really talented on a rookie contract, paying him less than $5 million per season. Financially speaking, it doesn't make sense to re-sign Russ. This is a one and done, in my opinion, unless they win a freaking Super Bowl, I guess. But to me, it's like Sam Darnold last year. Even if he plays fantastic football, he's going to price himself out of the Giants' range, and they already have a rookie they believe in. So that's my take on it. I think Jackson Dart's the starter in 2026 no matter what. Jamal, I get having doubt in Brian Dable, but I think he'll be all right. So, King GB Lotto, bad coaching. Yes, it certainly is bad coaching that's held back Russell Wilson the last couple of years. Daniel, happy to see you in here. I want to have you back on the show to recap the preseason this week. So, shoot me a text. H50 Farrell, I feel bad for Slayton during DJ time. So do I. And I really feel bad because he was defending Daniel Jones all the time. And it was like, why are you defending this guy that's tanking your career? I don't understand. Sam saying on a previous podcast, I did mention I was going to give away 2 tickets to a game. That's right. And I'll drop the link for that as well. So this is a team up with Brainy Ballers, and a major thank you to Brainy Ballers for supplying this. If you guys remember Brainy Ballers, he came on the channel a little while ago for an interview. This is the guy who came up with the star predictor score model, and Jackson Dart scored an unprecedented 100%. So that should refresh your memory if you remember this interview. He just released his SPS hype tape yesterday on Twitter. To enter the giveaway, very simple 3 steps. Follow Fireside Giants on Twitter, follow Brainy Ballers on Twitter, and retweet this link that I'm dropping right now to the SPS hype tape. You retweet that, you follow Fireside Giants, and you follow Brainy Ballers, and you get automatically entered into a giveaway to 2 tickets, Giants versus Commanders in Week 14. We're not announcing the winner until November. That'll give you a month of time to plan for travel and everything anyway. But that is the way to enter the giveaway and the sweepstakes. So go click that link, go retweet, go follow, enter the giveaway. 2 free tickets. I mean, you can't beat it. And it's in the lower section. It's in section 100 something. It's a really good deal. And again, thank you so much to Brainy Ballers for that. It's so awesome. I still personally, Smoking Giants, do not think Russell Wilson gets an extension even if this happens, because I think it's very similar to what happened with Sam Darnold. And I think it's similar to when the Chiefs had Alex Smith with Patrick Mahomes behind him. If you got a quarterback that you really believe in, you're going to roll with the quarterback, and you're going to take advantage of the quarterback's rookie contract. I am most excited to see Jackson Dart, Daniel. I think that he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, training year for Dart. Turn him loose next year. Damn, that's crazy. I didn't know that you were at training camp on the 31st. Oh, man. I know we got to say what's up to a few people. I really wish I got to see more of you guys, but unfortunately, I had to get on a flight immediately after that training camp practice, so I didn't have a ton of time to stick around. For those of you who did run into me, shout out to everybody who showed some love. Appreciate it. Steven, I really do wish that I got to say what's up to you. Longtime viewer and supporter of the channel, moderator in the chat, as you can see. We'll find a time to meet up. But yeah, definitely use the discount code. Go check out the Bazar Festival. It's in New Jersey. It's in Keensburg. It's about 45 from Newark. It's not too far from East Rutherford, maybe an hour at the most. But it's going to be fun. It's definitely going to be worth it. And like I said, really good price. And you get to hang out with me personally, play some cornhole with me, drink some brews with me. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you get to watch a Giants game with me at a restaurant the next day. So it'll be fun. Definitely check it out. Dart 1.5 passing touchdowns over or under. I think he throws 1 passing touchdown tomorrow. I think next weekend against the Jets, he throws 2. So under, but next week over. I know, I can't believe it. We finally have a game. This is game day eve. Blowing my freaking mind. If our offensive line plays average and let's assume that the offense is average. Let's assume the defense is top 10. 7 games, I think, is what we win. Unfortunately, Charles, I don't think Jackson Dart's going to play enough games to be the rookie of the year. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe he gets in there early, lights it up. It's possible. Yeah, less than 24 hours until game time. This time tomorrow, I'll be reacting to Jackson Dart playing. I can't believe that. That's so cool. But all right, guys, I've hit my hour mark, and I do need to rest because I am going to be live again later today, 7 p.m. So I want you guys to tune into that. Those streams are really fun. If you haven't subscribed to Giants Collective, please go ahead and do so. I'm going to drop the link to that down below in the chat as well. Giants Collective is me, the entertainer, Bad Dog, and sorry, Sinister Soup, and Adriana and Wedgie Fangirl. We've got a really good back and forth over there. We've already got over 5,000 subscribers on that channel. It's flying. It's growing real fast. And it's a good show. So definitely tune in. I wouldn't lead you guys astray. I wouldn't tell you. If I wasn't confident about the show, and I've been on shows that I haven't been confident about, and I don't promote them as much over here. I promote Giants Collective because I know you guys will like it. It's a good show. So definitely tune in. stay tuned, guys, because I am going to go ahead and get started on that Madden rebuild for you, since it does seem like you guys are really into it. And yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern. That is Giants Collective 2 nights, Wednesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern. Definitely save your energy for tomorrow. And I will. Don't worry. I'm going to get some nice rest, hang out with my girlfriend tonight, maybe go to Top Golf or something like that. Chill out, cool it, have a good time with my beautiful girl, and then be Giants game day ready tomorrow. Russ has the Giants 5-1. I'll make that face. I will spam that face. I will be emoting the crazy psych ward face all day, every day if the Giants are 5-1 through 6 games. But yeah, guys, so going to wrap it up now. Hope you enjoyed this live stream. So happy to be back doing these. It's been a minute since I've done one, but very happy to be doing one now. I'm so happy that we got a Giants game day tomorrow, even if it's the preseason. Appreciate everybody tuned in. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. And comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're listening to Apple or Spotify, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Go and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. And make sure to go ahead and click the link in the chat. I'm going to put it in the description box too, and the pinned comment. And check out the Bazaar Music Festival. Get some tickets. Come hang out. See me do a live Fireside Giants live stream. And drink some beer with me. Hang out. Talk some football. So make sure you go get tickets to that. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one. And let's go. New York Giants. Game day. Woo!
Perfect.